Freedom Under Law has filed an urgent written submission on social grounds with the Constitutional Court. The papers state that the South African Social Security Agency has not been open, transparent or accountable. The rights group wants the court to order an investigation into Sassa. Now, to explain what this all means is eNCA's Erin Bates, and she joins me now. Erin, I'm so eager to talk to you that I wanted to actually get into it before we went into the break. What is at the core of Freedom Under Law's complaint against Sassa?
Well, there are three things that Freedom Under Law wants the Constitutional Court to do. The first is to order 2 investigations into Sassa and how it got to the point where it wasn't ready to take on these cash social grant payments from the 1st of April. It also wants officials at Sassa to be investigated to find out if any officials were involved in basically scuppering this process of handing over social grant cash payments to in-house providers. The other thing it wants to do is it wants that the Constitutional Court stipulates specific timelines, very precise and detailed timelines on stopping CPS helping with these cash grant payments, and also to provide detailed reports on a regular basis, up to 6 weeks for the minister and 8 weeks for its expert panel. And then it also wants the court to order punitive costs, so to basically punish Sassa for the way in which Freedom Under Law says it's approached the Constitutional Court by slapping it effectively with a kind of fine.
Is Sassa ready for this transition on the 1st of April, as I understand it?
Well, we have to divide this up a little bit, because there are people who get social grants into their bank accounts, there are people who use the Sassa Grindrod cards, and then there are people who get cash payments. The real nub here are the cash payments, because CPS provides infrastructure to help with those payments. These are typically for people who are very far-flung from urban centers. They depend on these vans that provide the cash and do biometric testing on site, and also IT technology, which CPS provides. That's around 2.8, 2.9 million Sassa grant recipients. They're at risk here if the Constitutional Court doesn't bail Sassa out and grant this extension for CPS. And of those people, around 800,000 of the 2.8, 2.9 million are the most vulnerable in terms of these cash payments. So the acting CEO of Sassa said in a press briefing, we have a contingency plan, but then on Monday of this week, she filed an affidavit with the Constitutional Court, effectively saying the plan wasn't so much a plan as a rough idea and a half-baked plan that isn't really implementable because it hasn't been costed, it hasn't been passed by the necessary officials, and it simply isn't ready to be rolled out from the 1st of April. And yet the Communications Minister said today in Parliament that come the 1st of April, or more importantly from the 1st of April onward, they expect that social grants will be rolled out smoothly. And
what did the judges have to say about this? Because they've been emphatic that if there's going to be any delay, you will come to us, but be transparent. Be transparent about it.
Very much so. So on the 6th of March, when this urgent hearing, which Sassa only filed in February, although it knew around November of last year, it probably wouldn't be able to manage these cash payments, several members of the Constitutional Court, the highest court in the country, grew irate, you could say. Chief Justice Mogoeng absolutely irate at points with Sassa in the way it approached the Constitutional Court. And in fact, we have one of the moments in which he really lost it with that party.
It's like we are being laughed at by Sassa and CPS. It's most unfortunate. And what is even said is that there is no explanation. You know, when somebody has done wrong and they have an explanation to provide that we can all relate to, it makes a lot of difference. No explanation that we can understand has been put before us.
You've accepted that you could have done it a bit earlier. Yes. And given the history of this matter, and I want to put it to you in fairness, because we have to deal with this in a possible judgment, have you failed in your duty to the court or not?
So, Erin, as you mentioned earlier, the cabinet met, and the minister responsible for communicating cabinet decisions, Nomvula Mokonyane, had something to say about the Sassa process. What did she say, and has she given any assurances about the 1st of April basically being unquestionable?
She did. She gave the assurance that as far as government knows and based on presentations to the committee dealing with social grants, that they're confident social grants will roll out smoothly on the 1st of April. I'm not sure how much cause for comfort that is for the millions of social grant recipients across the country who depend on Sassa for their bread and butter, effectively, especially because their ability to roll out these cash payments absolutely depends at this point on CPS, despite what the acting CEO has said. And you spoke earlier about the freedom under law submissions which were made yesterday. I think it's important, it's not in my reporter's notebook, it's in a printout, but reporters use those too. And it's really, really critical of what she said in that press conference versus what she said in her affidavit on Monday. They've said that the acting CEO is asking the Constitutional Court to accept that when she told the public that Sassa had a contingency plan, the public were meant to understand that what she actually meant was that she did not have a contingency plan. So that plan that's a half-baked plan and isn't ripe for implementation. So it really hinges on the Constitutional Court, again, bailing Sassa out of its own mess.
Can grant recipients rest assured that by the 1st of April, there won't be any glitches? They will receive their monies as planned, or are we going to run into problems?
Well, I think what's important to note is that with a system as complex as the Sassa social grant system, there are inevitably hiccups throughout its rollout of social grants, throughout the dispersion of social grants. What is problematic here is that Sassa has effectively pushed the Constitutional Court into a corner and said, we don't have a backup plan, or we do have a backup plan, but it's not really feasible. Can you help? And the judges are very cognizant of the kind of responsibility they have in terms of their constitutional mandate to support and uphold the values of the Constitution and help, you know, with the proper rollout of services to the people of South Africa. So, I mean, I don't want to read a crystal ball here. I don't want to write up horoscopes on what's going to happen. I think it's probable that there will be hiccups along the way, despite what Mokonyane has said in Parliament today, and that it really has been a matter of leaving things to the last minute. But hopefully the Constitutional Court will do what it can, but not be a pushover in terms of letting Sassa really ask it to bail them out at the end of the day, and that as much damage as possible can be limited when it comes to paying out these social grants.
All right, Erin Bates, thank you very much for opening up your reporter's notebook for us. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.